there are a few big brands being investigated by the Competition Markets Authority for manipulating reviews. And one of the things that they've been accused of is giving free products and services to people who leave 5-star reviews. And that kind of incentive can be seen as coercive, and Google takes a dim view of that, and you're likely to be blacklisted if you're found guilty of doing something like that.
So welcome to episode 37 of the Marketing Blabs podcast. I'm Kaz Grant, the Client Success Manager here at Marketing Labs and your host. Today we're talking customer reviews. Online reviews can be one of the strongest trust signals a business can have, but they can also be
manipulated.
And we're seeing more and more examples of fake or encouraged reviews across platforms like Trustpilot and FIFO. So in this episode, we'll cover what dodgy review tactics look like, why they're a problem, and then get practical on how to earn reviews the right way, where to feature them on your website, and how to shout about them without looking spammy. I'm joined today by Tom Haslam, our Creative Director, Mel Healy, our Head of Content, and last but not least, Josh Stapleton, who can actually say words and is our web developer. How are we all doing, everyone?
Very good. I'm happy we got through that for you, Kaz. That's not going to be a polished intro, but I like it.
It's an intro.
Authentic.
It is authentic. Kaz no, not Kaz, Shaz.
Shaz might have to manipulate it.
Yeah. What happened
Easy
with
for you to
manipulate
say.
there?
I just can't say that word today.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
You're gone.
I'm gone. Thank God the whole podcast isn't about manipulation. I can say it when it's like that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mel, you're up. Why are reviews such a big trust signal now, and how much do they actually influence buying decisions?
So I think reviews are more important than ever specifically for businesses that don't have a shop front, that don't have a physical presence with people standing in line waiting to pay, or tables that are full and in the window where people can see passing by. Without those things, you look for other signals to tell you that the business is legitimate, that it's trustworthy, and it's worth taking a punt on. And a strong signal for that is reviews and star ratings. Looking at what other people have experienced and what they think about the business is encouraging for people who are sort of on the fence about buying. And that goes for good and bad reviews, because I think one of the mistakes that companies make is thinking that their reviews should all be sparkling, they should all be 5-star, and that's not the real world. And customers, prospects know that. And they're looking for businesses who have those middle of the road 3 or 4-star reviews to legitimise the whole process. Because, as you said in the intro, there's a lot of people trying to manipulate the system and only showing their 5-star reviews. And it's obviously undermining the whole process of rating companies.
It's not honest, is it? You've got to be honest with it. I think that's what it's all about.
That's actually like a really good point, and I hadn't thought about it, but I've actually found myself recently checking for negative reviews more than I'm checking for positive reviews.
I do that.
Especially when there's like thousands on like an Amazon listing or something.
Yeah. I filter by the star rating, and then I have a look to see. Because very often as well with negative reviews, especially on the open review platforms like Google and Facebook, where anyone can leave a review, they can be nitpicky. They might not be genuine concerns. And so as, using common sense, you can filter out what isn't really negative feedback. But having them there and having middle of the road 3 and 4-star reviews at least makes it look like it's a fair, open and transparent process.
I find a lot of them are actually shipping related, or like where it's a courier that's messed up or something. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I also think there's a bit of more trust building sometimes when you read the replies from the brand as well. Like
Absolutely.
if you're getting thousands, you can't reply to everyone, but the ones that then reply to people in a really nice, lovely way and offer that customer service, it kind of adds that kudos to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people surveyed do say that if they can see a company has responded to negative reviews, they will still consider buying from them.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? So Tom, then,
yes,
Do you have any tips for encouraging people to leave reviews?
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I think for me, it's about asking at the right moment. So for us, as an example, I think it's right after a win. So like as the project has been delivered, then it's getting the feedback or reviews right there and then. Whether it's something, I mean, if you're a restaurant or something like that, like Mel said, you're there in person. I think a personal ask from a real person is so much better than just an email. So if you can, like for us, if we're on a video call and you've got them there and then, it's always, oh, thanks so much for working with us. What do you think about the experience? Can you leave us a really good review? Here's a link to our Google. Like, make it super easy for people. One link, one platform. We obviously choose Google reviews as our business as an example, but pick the most valuable platform for you. Like, they're all different, so you'll have to choose from them. There's lots of niche platforms out there, but I think if you can send a direct link, make it foolproof, get them at the right time. I think they're my main ones, and try and give people prompts as well if you can. Not just can you leave us a review? Like, ask them questions. What was it that you were trying to achieve? How did we help you solve a problem? Or what was your experience like? Just little prompts like that can give them a nudge, because most people won't leave a review because they don't want to. They won't leave a review because they don't know what to say. So if you can prompt them, then I think that makes it a lot easier. I think it's just about making them feel a bit more real, easy, and simple for people.
Yeah, I think it's that make it easy. I've spoken to a few people that they don't know how to leave a Google review. They don't know where. They haven't got the link. So actually, if you can give them the link, if you can make it really easy, then
Absolutely.
people will do it, won't they?
Yeah.
One thing I'd actually add, just to build on that, is you mentioned like giving them prompts and stuff. One thing to kind of avoid also is not making them sound too templatey.
Yeah.
Like, it's fair enough using prompts and stuff, but if you use the same prompt for everyone's review, then people are going to catch on that they all sound exactly the same, and there's been some incentive there maybe to get these to work.
No, I think it's a good point. It's hard to get a balance sometimes, I think, isn't it? Like I say, if you can get it across as a real person, like when you're on a video call and just say, "Oh, just looking for this, honest feedback, been good working with you," sort of thing. I think that's the best way. And then yeah.
That's a really good point about incentives, actually, you just mentioned there, Josh, because those sorts of things can land you in trouble. And at the moment, there are a few big brands being investigated by the Competition Markets Authority for manipulating reviews. And one of the things that they've been accused of is giving free products and services to people who leave 5-star reviews. And that kind of incentive can be seen as sort of coercive. And Google takes a dim view of that, and you're likely to be blacklisted if you're found guilty of doing something like that.
Get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had one from, so our band, we use obviously some studios, and obviously you have to book your time in the studio, and they've done it before where they've sent me an email, leave us a review of what you think of our studios, and you might win some free like studio time in return. I'm just thinking, what are the chances of me actually getting that? I mean, I'll leave a review anyway because it's good or whatever, but I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I think the idea of it is, it sounds to me like bad practice, because essentially what you're doing is saying to somebody, you've got a better chance of winning if you tell us what we want to hear, or that's how I read it anyway. And I think leaving it up to the person to decide whether they leave a review rather than trying to sort of encourage it in that way is probably for the best.
I think realistically, all these platforms actually care about is like genuine, honest reviews. And if they see any attempt at manipulation there, then they're going to kind of, blacklist you or just mark you down in some way for that.
Yeah. Cool. Next question. So, Josh, from an implementation point of view, what are the best practices for adding reviews to a website properly and efficiently?
That's a good question. And I guess I see this one done wrong quite a lot. So when you're pulling reviews into your website, using like your CMS to actually store those reviews rather than using like a Google widget or like a Reviews.io widget or something like that. So there's a lot of them where they'll just give you a code that you can embed on your site. and that'll automatically pull everything through. That's potentially going to like slow things down because it's just like another thing to load on top of like the other like assets that your website's serving. So if you can actually store them on your CMS and set up an integration that saves them there, and then you display them however you like, you're probably going to benefit from that just in the long run.
Keep it clean code Josh wants.
And if anybody is a normal human and not into web development, speak to us and Josh will do it for you.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So Mel, then back to you. If someone was to leave a bad review, what advice would you give for dealing with them in the best way?
I think you said it earlier, Kaz, it's really important to respond. And whilst that can become quite onerous, the more that you get and the bigger your business is, ignoring those negative reviews will do you a lot more harm than the review itself, because what you're saying is that you don't take feedback seriously. That's the subtext there. So it's really important that you acknowledge it and that you deal with it in a way that feels empathetic and validates the experience of the person writing the review. Try not to take it personally. It can feel a very personal attack, especially if you are an owner of a small business. But that person's had a real experience and this is them voicing their concerns. So if possible, in the response, offer to take the discussion offline and to resolve it outside of the medium of the review system, because obviously that conversation that you're having with your customer is visible to everybody, and use it as an opportunity to learn and to grow, because an awful lot of good stuff can come from negative reviews. If you pick up on things where somebody's experienced a problem and that keeps occurring and you see that as a pattern through the reviews that you're getting in, then change the address the problem and try to resolve and improve. And if you do that and you can respond to people with negative reviews to say what you've done to change, even better. And like I said earlier, people are looking for companies that respond to bad reviews, and the way that they do it and deal with it says a lot more about the company than the fact that they got the review in the first place. Bad reviews happen, that's life. People expect it. How you respond to that review speaks volumes about you as a business.
And I like that. It's almost like a mindset reframe as well, isn't it, as a business owner? Because we're talking about reviews and people think of reviews as a business owner as like, I need to grow my business, get reviews out there, get 5-star. But actually, how many times do you want that real feedback from your audience? And you'd love to do surveys. You'd love to get that client or that customer like understanding back.
Yeah.
Well, use it as that.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily about you getting ahead of everybody else. It's like, how can I use this as real life feedback and data that I can then adapt and make everything better?
Yeah. And also just on that, from an SEO perspective, that real voice of the consumer is great for search, because they're talking about your product and service in the way that all of your customers will be. And they're using phrases and words that you might not naturally do in your own copy and content on the site. So if you can embrace that and you can have that on your site, good and bad, then it's an opportunity to rank for those words that you might not otherwise have done so. That's really worth bearing in mind.
Also, potentially getting fed into AI training data.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've got a ton of reviews on your site and you get like fed into the training mix, then you'll potentially get your name recommended with things like, highly recommended or would buy again or things like that.
That is such a good point, because actually what we're seeing now with Google's AI overviews is them using review data and star ratings to provide a summary of a business. So we had a client recently, a very big brand, a household name, who when you searched for the company, the AI overview quite negatively framed the company because of the ratings and reviews that it was pulling in. It had learned a fair bit about this company from reading the reviews, and the outcome wasn't good. So staying on top of your reviews is really important, because that's at the top of the page on Google, and it might be all somebody sees about your business. And the first paragraph summing up your reviews your negative reviews and using them to frame who you are as a business, that can work out pretty badly for you.
I think going back to what you were saying about the negative ones being good, it helps businesses improve.
Yeah.
And I think at face value, you'll say, oh, crap, I've got a bad review, and then another one. But if it's about the same thing and it helps you solve an internal problem that then you can fix, and you say you've, like Mel said, you have fixed it, I think, like you say, that speaks volumes about that business making that change and saying, look, we appreciate your feedback. We've implemented this now, test it or whatever. And I think that's the best way of doing it. It's not a bad thing at all.
So Tom, then, when a business has great reviews, what do you think are the best ways to showcase them without it looking like desperate or spammy?
It's quite tough on a website sometimes. So my first one I'd say is try and, if you can, use specific reviews. So try and choose reviews that mention outcomes or specifics, or that a problem's been solved. In our case, for example, make it really specific to a service. So if we've got an SEO, our SEO page, we do SEO, we're really good at it. And then we've got reviews that are relevant to a client that we've provided that service for, then that's really helpful because it's aligned, it's consistent. If it's on a home page, though, for example, pull through all of them because I think that's the most honest approach. With a clear link, in our case, to the full Google review site so that they can scroll through them all that way if they want to. Like Josh said, if you're using a widget or something like that, then it'll pull through them automatically.
Don't use a widget.
Don't use a widget. But if you are, it'll pull them through automatically. I think if you are doing it where it's integrated with the CMS and you're pulling them through dynamically in your own method, that's also good. My other tip would be try if you can put them near CTAs as well, reassuring right before they're going to click. So the placement of that is quite important. I think try and avoid walls of just generic ones that read like fluff, if that makes sense. Like if you've just got amazing service, okay, try and be more detailed. I mean, that comes down to the client like not filling it out as detailed, or the consumer not filling it out as detailed. The more detailed ones are going to be more valuable for people when they're reading, so try and filter them in, even if it's good or bad, and it'll make it feel more genuine as well. And I think a big one for me is showing credibility signals as well. Don't overdo the visuals. Include who it's from, maybe their company or role as well, where that's sort of appropriate. I always think keep the design really clean if you're designing them yourself and you're not using a widget. Badges and pop-ups and things like that, I'm not a massive fan of. I think they're just a bit too overwhelming and they can be in your face. There's a certain review company that offers lots and lots of different widget variables, which I think is handy, but I think some of them are a bit too much. So choose the simplest ones, in my opinion. But yeah, if you can have a calm, professional response to a negative review within that as well, I think that will also help because it just gives a balance to make it feel as natural and as clean as possible.
So what do we think about social media as well? Because obviously you can get the reviews through the website and that can all be classy and done really great ways. But then you want to share them as far and wide as possible, don't we? So has anyone got any ideas for, again, not making it look too spammy and like, oh God, here they go again, like shouting about their reviews on social media?
I think video is a really nice way to deal with it, and audio clips, because you get to see a real person, the words coming from them. So if you can take somebody who's left a good review and ask them to expand on it and to create a testimonial or a case study from that, and then you can share that with your audience via social media or by other means, that can work really well. And it's a little bit more palatable than just, another quotation mark that you're sharing in a fairly generic post on, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. For us here at Marketing Labs, one of the things that we do is we obviously use our testimonials and case studies right across the marketing mix, but we also include in that mail out. So we tailor the case study to the audience, to the prospect that we're trying to win, and we mail that out. it's just another good way of cutting through the noise and making good from what you already have. So really good for repurposing. Once you've got that review, you can repurpose it in lots of different ways to really eke out the full value.
I think it's about when you're landing on someone's Instagram profile, for example, you don't want to just see reviews. You've got to see a good mix of content on there. What are the team doing on a day to day? What have you done this week? How have you solved a problem for a client with a case study? Instead of just like, no one wants to land on a profile and just see review. Like it's no good. Like just mix it up a bit, and one in 9 posts, make it a review post, something like that.
Even social ads.
Yeah,
It's perfect for your ads because people want the proof.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great.
I've actually got a follow up on what you were saying, Tom. So like with displaying them. So obviously, like if you're promoting a service or something and you want reviews just about that service, that's completely fine. But you want to also be careful that you're not potentially seeming manipulative in that. Having a link to see all your reviews is quite important there, because otherwise Google or whoever is going to look at that and think, oh, this is a summary of everything, when it's not. Yeah, it's like a summary of specific ones.
No, it's a good point. I think one thing that I see sometimes on websites is like what I call star spam. If that, when it's really in your face, 5 stars, like that's fine, but be subtle about it. It doesn't have to be too like overwhelming. It's a good point, Josh, to be fair. It's hard to get that balance between manipulation and being honest and finding those. I think it's just trying to strike that balance, really. It can be tough at times.
Oh, back to you then, Josh. What should businesses know about review schema and visibility in search, and what are the common mistakes you see? And I'm going to add a bit onto this, because for anybody who might not know what review schema is, can you go into that as well before you get all techie?
So I guess there's quite a few things to talk about in that. Review schema itself is basically just like a little bit of JSON code that you see on the page, on any particular web page, and it gives like Google search engines or like large language models a bit more context about the page in a structured way. So it might have details about the business, its location, specifics about the page, or in this case, like specifics about reviews that you have on the page. So a good example, on your homepage, for example, you might have like a local business schema, which is basically showing like the location of the business, but also you could have your general like aggregated reviews, think like Google reviews. So your overall rating, your a few reviews out of it, and so on. So it's basically a way of showing search engines all of this info in a way that they can digest it. For reviews schema specifically, like there's a few different types, or there's 2 different types. There's the local review one that I've already mentioned. You can also have product review schema. So on like a specific product page, you might have just review schema that is related to that product and just the reviews, the star rating of that product. They work in slightly different ways as well. So on your product schema, you've got the potential to have that shown in your search results. So if you Google, so-and-so's product, you might actually see the 5-star rating on the search results page there. Whereas if you're doing it on just your local business page, you're not necessarily going to get that.
So, reviews are earned, not engineered. Get them ethically, display them clearly, and use them consistently across your site and marketing, because trust compounds. Make it easy for real customers to leave feedback. Show it where it matters, so high intent pages, not hidden away. Keep it honest, so never staff reviews and never manipulate them. That's it for today's episode of Marketing Blabs. If there's one message to take away, it is this. Reviews are one of the most powerful trust signals that you can build, but they only work when they're real. Focus on building a process that earns honest feedback, then make sure you're using that feedback properly on your website, in your content, and across your marketing mix. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, and if you've got a question you want us to tackle in a future Blab, drop the Marketing Labs team a message. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next Blab.